So we have the Simgot SuperMix 4. This thing is really, really good. I think this is probably one of the best IEMs I have. For $150, this thing punches way above its price point. It sounds just very cohesive, and it honestly sounds completely on target with the Harman 2019. So this is a really, really good IEM. So this is Ryan Ho back with another video, and I honestly think this IEM is really, really good. I think it was hyped up a lot, and after receiving this, because you guys actually requested me to review it and asked Linsel if I can get a unit to review, and they said yes. So as always, thanks to Linsel, and if you guys are interested in purchasing any of this, you guys can head to Linsel. But honestly, you guys really wanted me to review this, and this honestly is as good as you guys said it was. This thing is amazing, and I'm gonna cover all the details of how it sounds with music and gaming, but I think the Simgot, SuperMix 4 is definitely a very, very special IEM. So let's unbox the SuperMix 4. Oh, it does actually have an FR response. I mean, it looks essentially perfect. It looks like it has a lot of bass though. So should sound pretty fun. The actual shell is not as shiny as I thought it would be because the packaging is so shiny. It looks like some type of alloy plate, but it's nice and kind of shiny. And then a nice stealth black on the back. Got the standard tips that literally come with every single IEM now. I feel like these are the tips, and I feel like they are comfortable, but every single one are using these tips now. But yeah, so we have the cable. Looks like a nice kind of silver, probably layered type of cable, but let's plug it in and see what it sounds like. So it has 4 different drivers. So starting down low, we have the dynamic driver for the bass. It does a really wonderful job of sounding very kind of bassy. You can kind of feel the impact, so it's really, really good without any of that like bloatiness. It kind of contours out in kind of the upper bass, so you don't get any of that muddiness at all. So it's a very good kind of dynamic driver. Then moving to the mid-range, I think that's probably the most special part about this is the mid-range BA driver. They said they use a bigger BA driver than the standard. I feel like a lot of other IEMs use a lot of smaller BA drivers in the mid-range. This uses one big one, and I have to say it is very, very impressive. Like the sound quality you're getting out of this BA driver is pretty nuts, honestly. I can hear like a lot in the kind of the lower mid-range area, especially for this one, which brings out a lot of the male vocalists and the kind of lower notes out a lot. So this thing is a very, very good vocal IEM for that mid-range. And then moving kind of higher, we have the other 2 drivers, which is the planar magnetic driver and then a piezo driver. And this has been a pretty, I think, popular combination that's being used a lot recently, just to kind of have the most kind of cleanest, most refined type of treble. The treble really sounds very clean, very fast, very quick, but it doesn't sound like overly sharp or anything like that. So I think this is one of the kind of cleanest, most detailed treble without going overboard. So this Simgot, just does really, really well. The SuperMix 4 is just like, I feel like it's really, really special. And it's funny because I just reviewed their EW300. So there's 2 versions of it. So we have the kind of normal one without the DSP, and then we have the DSP version right here. And they had a kind of similar type of setup, but they just were lacking the BA driver that the kind of SuperMix has. And I feel like really the EW300 sounds like a cut down Simgot SuperMix 4. But the SuperMix 4 I think sounds, a lot better than it. I feel like it really, that mid-range driver, the BA driver, makes a huge difference, and the tuning itself is also just more refined and just like completely on target on the SuperMix 4. So it really does outclass those. But in comparison to like something like the EM6L, which is the Phoenix, this is pretty much everyone's favorite. It was the kind of $109. This one was very, very popular and still is probably really, really popular. And the comparison of these two is kind of interesting too. I would say that the Phoenix is a better gaming IEM. That's the thing that I notice about it. The imaging on it is just sharper. It's much more in the center. Like when the enemies are coming at me, they really do sound like they're in center. Versus I feel like the SuperMix 4, they never sounded like they're complete in the center. They sound very left, very right. It's kind of lacking what I call the center imaging. So I feel like it's just average when it comes to gaming. I didn't really have any issues, but it was a little bit harder to pinpoint where the people were, like if they're behind like walls or in the smoke or something like that. I felt like the SuperMix 4, I had to struggle a little bit more and try a little bit harder versus on the Phoenix is just like you can hear them exactly where they are, and you can just kind of like pinpoint them. So for gaming or competitive gaming, I just say if you're playing like Valorant or something like that, definitely going to go with the EM6L. But in the other cases of like just tuning and detail, like the SuperMix 4 basically outclasses the Phoenix in like every single scenario. Like down the bass, it has more kind of, I guess this one has a little bit more mid bass, maybe a little bit, but this one you can just hear, you can feel the bass more on the SuperMix 4. The mid range is like far exceeds anything on the EM6L. Like the vocals pop out a lot more just tuning wise, more forward, but detail wise, just like in another planet. Honestly, very detailed on this one. And then when it comes to the treble performance, this one also is just overall more detailed and cleaner. The EM6L is pretty good in treble, but it does have just a slight sharpness and a little bit over enhancement up there, which is basically fixed in the SuperMix 4. If you're just listening to music, I would say SuperMix 4 is easily a better option. It does cost, I guess, $40 more than the EM6L, but you know, I think that difference in price is okay. It's fine. I think the SuperMix 4 is definitely worth that upgrade, in my opinion, if you don't have one. But if you're playing competitive games, just, you know, stick with this one. But yeah, so if I guess wrap up how the SuperMix 4 sounds, it's just very, you know, Harman 2019. Literally, like, it sounds exactly like the Target. It's probably the best one that sounds like that. But the other thing I noticed is like a lot of times you look at a Target and, you know, it doesn't really tell you the full picture because, you know, it's just like speakers. You have multiple drivers, and the drivers have to play well with each other, and they have to like not cancel each other well, and they have to have really nice crossovers. I feel like the SimGot really does kind of shine. Well, saying SimGot, these are all SimGots. I mean, the SuperMix 4 really does shine above. I feel like they had a really, really good crossover type of tuning on this because I just feel like I don't hear as much in the mid-range or lower mid-range as I hear on other kind of multi-hybrid IEMs. I feel like they did a really, really good job with the crossovers on this one. I feel like I'm not really lacking or missing areas in the music. And so I do feel like this one really does take a step forward in that sense. And I feel like that's probably the thing that I think will be, I guess, underappreciated in some ways, because if you look at a graph, they look very similar, but when you actually listen to them, SuperMix 4 is just, you know, far better than the, you know, competition here on this table. The conclusion is SuperMix 4 for music is honestly amazing. I actually forgot to include the other comparison I did, which was to the there's the Kiwi Ears Quintet. This is probably one of my favorite IEMs. I feel like the SuperMix 4 at $70 cheaper honestly sounds better than Quintet. It basically does everything the Quintet does, but maybe a little bit less emphasis than treble. But it kind of hits harder. It has better mid-range. It has just better refinement, honestly. I feel like the technology has kind of pushed forward. They're kind of a very similar type of driver. This has, you know, a dynamic driver, but it has two BAs playing like the mid-range, and then it has the planar and the piezo. So very similar configuration, except I guess that one big kind of BA driver is the difference maker, honestly, in the SuperMix 4, and it makes it sound honestly better. The funniest thing about these cases is they literally come with like the same case. It's literally $50 more. It just has gold around it. All the other SimGots don't have gold, but they're all like the same cases. I'm literally getting confused which one's which at some point. So I guess it's nice that this has that kind of gold kind of accent to let me know the difference. So yeah, the SuperMix 4, definitely recommend it if you're looking for an IEM to listen to music. I honestly think this is a huge, huge, big value pick. And of course, I want to thank Linsel for sending this out. Anyways, I hope this video helped you guys. Please like and subscribe down below. Helps my videos out. And I'll see you guys in the next one.